Hey everyone, Dan here. Wanted to take a look at some of the stocks that I'm most likely to be day trading or I guess very short swing trading, meaning if I don't trade it within the same day, likely trading on Monday and then trading it again on Tuesday, like a buy on Monday and a sell on Tuesday, something like that. So in any case, we're looking at very compressed time frames and the patterns that are hidden within the larger patterns that we often look at. In any case, before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And feel free to leave comments below if you have thoughts, questions, ideas of your own, that sort of thing. Okay, so CCIV, with its volatility, it's one that's sort of a good opportunity for me to play because I typically understand the chart pretty well. That, of course, is not 100% of the time thing. None of these things are, but I feel like I generally understand it more than I don't. And also, I guess one thing that I would say is that with any of these plays, I'm typically trading these intraday or day-to-day from options. And so with the increased change in price from an options trade versus a straight shares trade, sometimes you'll see me look for like smaller price fluctuations to take profit versus if you're just trading shares, it might feel like, a 30-cent move in a $25 stock is not that interesting, but for an options trade, that may be enough gain to kind of make it worthwhile. So just keep that in mind as we go through these. So CCIV is doing a couple of things that I'll be looking for. It's a little tricky to be charting this just after the after hours of the previous close and not have any of the data from pre-market mixed in here. But, I'll say where things look for now and then just be aware that you always have to update these charts because they change minute by minute. So this is, going to be our next trading day, and where I'd look for CCIV to go would be a couple of things. So one, it could be holding this sort of, I guess, more conservative uptrend, if it's going to hold an uptrend at all, and then potentially be flagging out toward the end of the day at this very slight downtrend of lower highs. So I could look for it to stay in that flag between the orange uptrend and the white downtrend. The more bullish opportunity that there could be is that it stays, this isn't a perfect parallel channel, these purple lines, they are two separate trend lines that will be sort of intersecting each other in the coming days, but I could see it maintaining itself inside this purple channel, we'll call it for lack of a better term, and that would give us some areas in order to buy the dip at the bottom of the channel and sell out at the top of the channel. So as you see, like here, if you bought in here at 24.10, say, and then you rode it up to 24.46, that's what I'm talking about with very small price movements. But that's all that I initially look for, and that's why I trade the options for my intraday stuff typically, because of the increase price change in an options contract versus the sort of underlying share price change. But in any case, that's what I'll be looking for in CCIV, and kind of have some potential bounce zones here. So if it falls, into these zones, 23.98, 23.74, 23.59, and 23.15, I would look for bounces there in order to catch the fall and snatch up like a cheap call option and look for a trend reversal if it signifies that by like a double bottom or something like that. Okay, that's CCIV. Palantir is another one. So this one, I guess a couple of things. One, I'd be very cautious as it gets to this price area, 23.19 down to about 23.16. So it's a very small, just a few pennies there. But let's just call it around the 23.15 to 23.20 area, that it doesn't kind of quadruple top out there. That might be a little bit of a tough one. The other possibility is that it has eaten up all the selling pressure there, and by battling its way back to that point, it's going to fly through it. So that's what I would be looking for. If it's able to continue this pretty natural orange uptrend, that to me seems pretty plausible. That 2289 area could be a good opportunity for bounce if it does open above it and then comes down toward it. This green area down here could be another good area for a dip buy if it gets down into the high 22s, in my opinion. And then this area up here would be sort of where I would look to take an initial take profit, if I picked something up in the lower half of here before it hits this 2355 resistance is, why that's charted there. But if it is, making good moves up, I would be looking for price targets all the way up toward 24 in the very, very near term to day trade Palantir. NIO has been my go-to day trade lately. I mean, look, like some of these swings are just so wild. So it's sort of like, why wouldn't you do that? So, where it's looking in the after hours is potentially that it's going to follow up this little orange uptrend here. So you could be looking for that to carry it into the mid to upper 39s throughout the day. The other thing is that there's all these lower highs coming in, so it's going to sort of have an inflection point in the pre-market. So it'll be interesting to see what's happening with it there. If it does fall below, I would just look for some double bottoming. I'd look for a bounce at that 38.87 zone, or this 38.40 would be my immediate go-tos. And then, I'd look for it to be pushing up toward 40 to get an immediate take profit, and then up closer to 41 in order to get a secondary. AMD was for a long time my ultimate go-to. AMD, I think there's like some gaps that have formed that it may come down to fill. So that would be a really good dip buying opportunity, in my opinion, in like midst of this green box. And in any case, if it continues to stay within this flag, it's going to slightly push down in the pre-markets, and then we'll have an inflection point, just after midday. And so we, could be interesting to see what might happen there. But it very well may not be holding this flag even by pre-market. As you see it here, it's already toward the upper bound of that flag. So it might not even come into play. On the upside, I look at AMD at this point in at least dollar increments typically. So if I took this 81.13 position, I'd be looking for a sellout at least 82. But of course, you just have to watch the price action and see what's happening minute by minute if you're going to play things that tight. So again, that's why it's a little bit hard to say exactly how I'll trade it when it plays out. But these are the things that I'm looking for from the information that I have currently. Viacom I have a longer position in, but I don't currently have any, or I guess recently I haven't had any day trading or short swing trade positions to speak of. But, it will have this inflection point by pre-market, so it'll be interesting to see if maybe it's continuing up this orange trend line and pushes us up into the 45s come end of day Monday. I would like to see a stronger bounce off of this just because the beatdown that it has incurred has been so severe. I would be looking for a more rapid recovery if there's really a lot of strength and momentum here, which is obviously what I'm hoping for my long position. But those big swings are super helpful for the intraday stuff. If it does come down, I'd look for potential dip buy bouncing opportunity at 44.45, which is very close to where it is right now. But if it gets pushed down further, potentially within this flag, 43.93 would be my next area to potentially dip by. After that, I'd kind of have to see what's happening. But my take profit would be essentially along this orange trend line. Though, like I said, my bigger hope is that it has higher swings up, something like we see here, where it goes from 44 up into the 45, so like a full $1 or so of a jump, and that would be much more interesting to me. So we'll see how volatile it is on Monday. Space, a long-standing day trade, short swing trade, friend of mine, and what I'm looking for here is basically just in this area here. So following up this orange trend line, possible flagging out here. I'd be careful that this doesn't push down. If it does, I would be looking to buy at that $30 level. I'd also be looking to buy at this like 30.75 level, basically where it is right now. And looking to run it up into the 31s would be my goal for Monday, if there is bullish activity. All these sort of like, I'm taking the bullish stance on them. That doesn't mean that they're definitely going to be bullish or that I even expect them to be bullish, but it's just if there is bullish sentiment for this stock or in the market on Monday, this is how I would play the bullish side of things. Mara can have really extensive, like wild runs like this. Like look at, this is a run from 48 up to 51. And then by 11 a.m., it starts this drop from the 51s and comes all the way down to 47. So, I mean, these are huge percentage swings throughout the day that are just incredible to see. And so, keep in mind that that's what makes, for me, with my options stuff, that's the makings of a really exciting potential options trade, but can also be very, very devastating if you miscalculate and don't kind of stick to your plan. Your plan is there to mitigate your downside and to lock in your upside. The orange trend line here would lead us up to the top of this channel, so I think there's like a double possibility of this happening, meaning just like a stronger possibility of this playing out. The Mara stays in this purple channel, and not only that, but maybe it stays on this orange uptrend, which still keeps us in the channel throughout the entire day and would basically put us, closing at around 51.32. It could, of course, very, very easily break this channel and then head downward. So if it does, I look for potential bounces at that 47.41 level. If not, closer to the $47 level itself would be my initial drop zones. These zones definitely aren't unfathomable for Mara in the course of a day. So those would be other bounce zones that I'd look for to catch very cheap calls if it's falling that far, that fast. 44.23, 43.22, and 42.06. JMIA, I've played less intraday and more long, but it has enough volatility at points that it makes it worth it. Also is caught currently in this nice purple channel. It's a very young channel. It's like a portion of a day, or I guess you could even just say it's only been holding it after hours. But, I'd be looking for it to potentially stay in that channel, bring us up maybe close to 39 toward the close. And, that wouldn't be much of a percentage change. So that wouldn't be super exciting if it did that. That definitely wouldn't be the best opportunity for trading intraday if that happens. But the other possibility is that, it hits this inflection point just after, say, 10 a.m. on Monday. And if it's staying in its channel, it also, it's under the weight of this slight downtrend, and sort of see what it does there. Maybe it gives it a bigger push upward out of the channel, where it can then establish the upper bound of the channel as support. If it falls, I would have sort of a lot of sympathy for taking a bounce position here, like a dip bounce in this range, mid 36s down to high 35s, based on the possibility that it's coming to fill that gap. That wouldn't shock me. So that's where I would try to catch a falling knife, if you will, which is always incredibly risky and incredibly tricky, but sometimes it's just fun to try. And that'll do it for this video. Those are the ones that I'm looking at for intraday stuff. Again, keep in mind, I'm mostly talking about options positions, which can play out quite differently than your shares positions that you might. So these might not be as interesting if you're just doing shares, because we're talking about small percentage changes most of the time that I'm looking for in order to make enough gain to make it worth it. But in any case, if you have any questions about that, please let me know in the comments. I'll put my Twitter handle in the description. You can tweet me there. And no matter what you're trading this week, I wish you the best of luck. I hope you had an enjoyable longer weekend, and I will see you in the next video.